This is Annie Gallen. You're listening to WMNF, Tampa, Florida.
The opinions presented on the Healthy Steps show are the evidence-based opinions of Dr. Fred Harvey, the callers, and his guests. These are not the opinions of the staff, the volunteers, or the board of WMNF. The information provided on the show is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. There is no implied patient-physician relationship in these calls. The nature of the calls is educational and informational only.
Hello there, my beloved listeners. It is wonderful to be sharing the asylum in the studio with you on this awesome Monday morning. Mere words are not sufficient enough for me to adequately express my gratitude to you for keeping your dial tuned to WMNF Tampa, your resistance radio station from Tampa Bay to the Gulf of Mexico, and the only perspicacious FM station that Lieutenant Lestrade would ever stream. And you can stream us as well at WMNF.org. Today is Ask Me Anything Monday, and that means that the full Monty depends on you and your medical questions, comments, and concerns. So let's keep Sage, the regnant soul of the control room, busy this morning. Just give us a call at 813-239-9663. That number again to share your medical questions and concerns is 813-239-9663. Or you can send an email to dj@wmnf.org or text us at 813-433-0885. Good morning to you, Dr. Harvey. Let me tarry no more and get this show down to what is really real. You, our listeners, and their AMA Monday concerns. What have you got to get us started today, Dr. Fred?
Well, good morning, Bill. And you got me stumped today. I am confused as to the origin of Lieutenant Lestrade.
He was the London detective that bumbled but worked closely with Sherlock Holmes.
Wonderful. Thank you. I love your little quips there at the beginning.
I like to just tease the folks because we do have a world of great listeners out there.
We do, and welcome all you happy, healthy listeners. Oh, it's another beautiful day in this paradise called Earth, and so much is going on. I wanted to address something. Last week, I wasn't interested in debating medication shortages and the nature of ADHD, but I thought I'd come back to that this week and talk a little bit about it. ADHD does exist. My concern and my problem with the way our system addresses ADHD and many other illnesses is that it does not, especially in psychiatry, it does not use biologic information. It does not use any kind of diagnostic information except a questionnaire. We do know that ADHD as a symptom complex, as a neurologic divergent disorder, it really does exist. And it really does appear that there's a strong genetic component, like 70% heritability. The thing is, though, it's not one specific gene. It's not one specific network. But it relies on specific signals and genes from different networks and also is affected by external sources, such that we don't have one specific biologic marker. There's nothing, and there probably never will be, as there probably never will be for autism, because they're multifactorial genetic environmental interaction disorders. It's heterogeneous. In other words, there's different types of expression. They call the autistic spectrum a spectrum because it has a wide range of expression, as does ADHD. That's why some people are actually called ADD. They have attention deficit, but they're not hyperactive. ADHD is for those who are hyperactive. And so there are a lot of different components to this. The connections that one makes in the frontal lobe are really important too. And that's got to do with structural thinking. And also it happens to get disrupted with traumas, PTSD and other things will trigger different changes in these, but also external sources, chemicals and things will also change it. And we do know that from recent study that and we have evidence over time that stimulants like Ritalin, Adderall, methylphenidate, et cetera, these things that stimulate dopamine and norepinephrine are actually things that really do help with performance. Okay? Now, there's a distinction here because we've made a diagnosis of an illness without any specific biomarkers or any kind of ways of checking to see what's out of balance. And because psychiatry hasn't followed through on studies of neurotransmitters, et cetera, but they do these imaging studies that show that certain neurotransmitter activity is happening in certain areas of the brain that induce these things, they still not pursued it down to a level where they're seeing that there's a treatment specifically for this. Most recently in the publication Cell, CELL, a peer-reviewed scientific journal, showed when they studied methylphenidate especially, they have been working on a theory that these chemicals improve attention. There's this new study looking at 5,800 children ages 8 to 11 show that it's not actually working on attention. As we know with methamphetamine, methylphenidate, and these other stimulants work on dopaminergic centers, dopamine. So it's dopamine mediated, reward motivated learning. So they feel better. It's almost like a little cocaine gets them to do the next test question. So there is this effect that's going on that produces better results on testing and other things, but it doesn't actually improve attention. And so it's not treating what we think it's treating. And so that is an issue that the NIH has brought up and suggested to psychiatry, that they start looking at the biology of it, and they are doing so. This is a really important point that they've made here, that ADHD medications do not treat attention. They treat reward. And they found that most children and most adults are having difficulties with sleep. Sleep deprivation is a huge contributor to ADHD symptoms, and the use of the stimulants actually works on the wakefulness center that is affected by sleep deprivation, such that the people that have sleep deprivation as a principal reason for getting ADHD, they get help because their wakefulness is better in the day and their sleep may be better at night if they stop taking the Adderall early enough in the day. And so, yes, sleep patterns are really key, but there's other things that are involved and they haven't been addressed, and they aren't addressed by psychiatry, Western medicine, or any other way of actually looking at this. And it's a problem, and that is that the chemicals that interfere with dopamine interfere with thinking, cause ADHD. So we know that herbicides and pesticides actually are associated with causation in Parkinson's disease. It's also associated with causation in ADHD, because these medications, or these, sorry, not medications, these chemicals that are in our environment, pyrethroids, organophosphates, these chemicals disrupt neurotransmitters, including dopamine, acetylcholine, glutamate, which regulate attention, focus, motivation, and learning. They affect brain development, especially when the mother's exposed when the fetus is in utero. They create oxidative stress, damaging the brain. And so, yeah, I was a bit abrupt last week, but I'm not interested in debating shortages of medications that aren't treating the problem. They're covering up the problem. They're helping people function, but wouldn't it be better if the doctor actually helped the person get beyond it? You know, heal the brain instead of covering up the problem and adding more toxicity to the brain? That's the way I like to approach things. It seems to be a rather commonsensical approach to reality to actually address the problem at hand rather than covering up the problem at hand. Thus, I don't believe there's actually a shortage of ADHD medication, though that may be something that's making the newsy airwaves. I think there's actually a shortage of good care of people with ADHD because we're not addressing the reasons for ADHD. And so I would like to discuss the reasons for not addressing our underlying health conditions and covering them up with medication. I'd like to discuss all kinds of things with you folks, and we can if you call me here on WMNF.
Absolutely. And if you are just tuning on in, I want to let you know you are listening to, as he said, WMNF, the Healthy Steps radio show. And you are invited to participate by giving us a call at 813-239-9663. Sage is answering the calls right now, and Ray from Lakeland is already in the queue. So that number one more time to join the Healthy Steps radio show on WMNF Tampa is 813-239-9663. We've had a couple of emails sent on in, and you can join that as well by sending your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Let's go to Ray in Lakeland. Good morning to you there, Ray.
Yes, good morning.
Hi, Ray.
Hi, I was listening to you sort of explain that, like the Adderall that a lot of people are prescribed for ADHD, it doesn't really resolve the issue of attention. And that's something that I've sort of fought with people about, because we all have friends and family that suffer with that, especially the kids in school. And one thing that I've suggested is diet and exercise, like regular exercise and just eating better, like not necessarily cutting all the sugar out, but finding healthier, more natural sources of sugar, and then watching how someone responds. I know me personally, sometimes I have to change my diet and take things that like heavy fats out of my diet so that I don't feel as bogged down, and I have more motivation. Maybe you can give me, maybe speak on that a little bit.
Yes, that's a very important point. Exercise actually helps you create new connections in the brain, and part of the problem with ADHD is that connections aren't very efficient. And so doing sports where you actually have some eye-hand coordination and use your hands a lot, that is something also useful because your hands control areas of the brain, cover much of the brain surface. So you really stimulate a lot of connection using your hands. But exercise in general really is good. And changing your diet is really important. So getting rid of pesticides and herbicides from your food is important. So if you look at the environmental working group's information on the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, the Dirty Dozen are foods that you should always look for organic, because when they're not organic, they have so much pesticide residue in them that they are actually toxic. So you're looking at, non-organic strawberries, peaches, lettuce, celery, hot peppers. They're just a whole potatoes are one of the worst. That if they're not organic, you're eating a lot of fungicide toxins. And so look at the Dirty Dozen and avoid those if they're not organic, and then look at the Clean 15. You don't have to spend all your money on organics because there are foods out there that don't really get sprayed. They don't spray onions and garlic because no pests want to eat them. They don't spray broccoli very much. And avocados and bananas have such a thick skin, they don't get penetrated by the pesticides. So it's better to support organic agriculture, but if you want to save some bucks, do the Clean 15 not organic because they're safer. And then you're actually reducing some of the reasons for having cognitive trouble.
Absolutely.
How's that work?
Thanks so much.
You're welcome, sir. And sugar is another big issue. And, we can't avoid all sugar because we're going to eat fruit, we're going to eat vegetables, and they're going to have naturally occurring sugars in them. It's added sugar that's the problem. So we want to decrease the amount of refined sugar in our food. So we don't want to do energy drinks and things like that. We want to get our sugars from whole foods, not processed foods. So getting Skittles with artificial flavors, artificial colors, and high fructose corn syrup out of children's diets is brilliant.
Yes, I agree. I do. Thanks so much. I love your insight, and I try to catch your show every week. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And you can always catch it on the archive when you stop by to throw a tip in the jar.
There you go. Thank you very much there, Ray. And we do have sort of a full board. I've got Tom, Susan, and Vinny. Let's go to Tom in St. Pete. Good morning, Tom.
I do have a complex question, but I just wanted to say to start with that I just heard that watching sports throws your dopamine and serotonin levels off, because every time your team scores, it's a hit, and every time you lose, it messes with your mind. And I don't know if that's related to the ADHD, but it sounds like a maybe to me. Hey,
well, actually, you may be onto something there, because when you do get that reward sequence going, your team scores, it doesn't. That really is actually almost as if you're playing the sport, but you're not. So you're missing out on the exercise part of it. But I don't think there's long-term harm. I would really want to look into it, though. But it seems to me that that kind of excitement naturally occurring from watching something that you enjoy is different from using a chemical to raise the dopamine.
Right. And I should say that they I think they were getting at that there's a kind of addiction that comes with watching sports.
Oh, sure. It's like the addiction for gambling. There's a dopamine surge there that happens.
Exactly. Identical. But onto my question, and I'm going to preface this. I think you know that I've been on a quest to create the most delicious and healthy foods and drinks that I can, and I have come upon a tremendous one, and I have a question about it. I've been boiling cinnamon sticks, making a cinnamon tea, and then putting my green tea, steeping that in the hot cinnamon tea, and then I boil up some ginger, organic. Everything's organic, by the way. I boil up some ginger, and then add that into the green tea to spice it up, and it is delicious, anti-inflammatory, unsweetened except for the cinnamon, and there you go. But my question is, I just started adding white willow bark to that recipe. Because I don't do aspirin. I try. I got the torn cartilage in my knee. I do ibuprofen when I have to, a couple times a month. But I just started on the weekends adding the white willow bark for the salicins or the salicylates, whatever they are, the acid qualities. And I measured it out. I'm putting in about a gram of white willow bark in with my tea. I'm steeping it with the green tea. And I researched it. It's 10 to 20% of the white willow bark is the salicylates. So out of a gram, I'm getting 100 to 200 milligrams of salicylates. So my question to you is, recommended, not recommended? What are your thoughts?
I think you've made a great tea, and I have no problem with you using white willow. The salicylates in white willow are different from the ones in aspirin. Aspirin is a semi-synthetic salicylate. They've taken the plant and then they've added an acetyl group to it, so it's called acetyl salicylic acid. Say that 10 times fast. So that is aspirin, and that one actually is the one that has the adverse consequences of bleeding, et cetera, because it binds to, I think it's thromboxane A2 permanently, and so it makes your platelets less sticky and you bleed easier. White willow bark doesn't do that. It's not associated with stomach bleeding or anything like that. So you made a really good combination here. I would suggest, though, if you want it to be a little bit sweet, you could actually add some allulose to it. Allulose is a non-absorbed sugar, D-allulose, and it actually is itself an anti-inflammatory and works like a GLP-1 agonist like Ozempic.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty much off of the sweeteners. I really like the cinnamon. Is sweet enough. But what did you say? Allulose?
Allulose, Allulose, is a sugar that research is showing is anti-inflammatory and may work like Ozempic in terms of helping to reduce the inflammatory markers like TNF alpha and IL-6 and IL-1B and inhibit nuclear factor kappa B. These are all destructive processes in the body. And so just throwing a little bit of allulose in, it's not very sweet at all, might just contribute to your overall effect in your tasty tea.
Yeah, I'm going to spread the word to my family too. And I'm going to leave you with a parting. I got a new slogan for us here in the MNF and the wider community. We are good.
We are good.
I'm talking about in reference to Renee Good in Minneapolis. We are good.
That's a really important statement.
Yeah.
Yes, the emotional health of America is a kilter right now, and we need to focus on good.
Yeah. Well, remember, we are Charlie in France.
Yes, yeah. I've been Charlie for years because I don't put up with that kind of bullying.
Well, now it's I am good. We are good.
I like it. Hashtag it.
Have a great day. Yeah. I do right here, right now. See ya.
Take care, Tom.
Bye.
Thank you, Tom, and thanks for that little clever turn of a phrase. Let's go to Susan in Sarasota, and then we'll go to Vinny and Rebecca. Good morning to you there, Susan.
Morning. I'm so happy you're still doing this show. I got cut off last week, and I'm glad I got on. I got down to Florida around the 29th of December. Around the 30th, I was sick, and on the 1st, I went to urgent care because I'm with a boyfriend who's got a lot of issues. If we can get to his, I would like that. But I don't have COVID, I don't have flu, I don't have fever. That's the good news. The doctor said it was acute laryngitis. She said it's either viral, allergy, or acid reflux. And then when I coughed, she said I vote for viral. Rest and fluids. Well, those aren't too easy things for me. I'm kind of hyped up, but I can rest some. The green mucus subsided, and the coughing isn't as much, but I still have sticky yellow mucus. And I called in again to urgent care, and she said, take Mucinex and a nasal spray and some acid thing, and I'm not going to do any of those. I'm doing NAC, maybe too much. I'm doing...
How much?
I'm taking 1 gram with my acetylglutathione Synergy and then 600, and I was thinking of adding in another 600. I wanted to know what you thought about that.
I don't know that you need more, but people use up to, say, 2,400 milligrams a day. At that level, some people get a little queasy with it.
Okay. I can put in another 600, which will be 2,200. Do you think that's a good idea?
If you still have thick mucus, that could help. Another thing that can help is to just make sure you're getting a lot of fluids. Make sure you're getting a good 3 liters a day to loosen everything up. There is there are a couple of supplements that can help to calm down the respiratory mucosa. One of those is quercetin.
Yeah, I'm doing
Quercetin. Yeah, so good. It sounds like you're on the mend. Going from green to yellow is a good thing. You may try a neti pot to rinse out the mucus in your nose. That could help to move things along.
I choked on it last time. How much quercetin? I'm taking 500.
500 twice a day for acute illness generally seems to be pretty good.
Wait, what did you say? How much?
500 milligrams twice a day seems to be a safe dose.
Okay. And when you said queasy, what does that mean? What kind of queasy? You mean lightheaded or something?
No, queasy is a little bit of nausea, maybe some bloatiness, because there's a lot of sulfur in the NAC, and some people, their belly doesn't tolerate it fully.
All right.
But if you're doing fine with it, you're fine.
Okay. Say it again.
If you're fine, if you don't have symptoms with it, you're fine to take that dose.
Okay. I'll go to 500 twice a day. I've also added an elderberry capsules and an elderberry tonic. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's fine. The elderberry is more about keeping you from getting the illness in the first place. So use it once a week or twice a week throughout the rest of the season. But yeah, that's more the approach I would use for elderberry. And
I'm also doing MSM. That's for my arthritis. But I mean, it's pretty sticky, and I don't know how to proceed. I mean, do I go to my foot doctor? Do I have a cleaning lady come in? I mean, I'm pretty vigilant. I don't want people to catch things.
Well, if you are 5 days out, no fever, and the symptoms are improving, that generally means that you have produced antibodies to prevent you from being infectious. So 5 days out from onset, symptoms are getting better, no fever in 24 hours without using any kind of aspirin or Tylenol, that suggests you're safe to go outside without a mask on.
So without a mask?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be infecting anybody. The main reason for wearing a mask is so you don't infect other people with your illness.
Yeah. And also, I have a boyfriend who's got a post-nasal drip where he practically chokes. And I gave him NAC, he got heartburn. And he's on so many heart meds that he can't take this and he can't take that. So I'm very worried about him. And, he would like to go out. I don't go out. I cook all my own food because I want to eat organic. But I'm looking into fish places, and I can eat salmon. I just did research on some kind of salmon that comes from Faroe Island that's supposed to be good.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think you can probably go to any local fish restaurant and get some locally caught fresh fish, and you'd be fine.
The thing that I get hung up on is I get vegetables with it, and they're not organic. Should I loosen up about that?
Yes. But you could also make sure that you're not getting the vegetables in, Cisco sauces and stuff. If they're just, grilled or sautéed, I think you're pretty fine.
Wait, what did you say? If I'm not getting what vegetables?
If you're not getting things in commercial sauces and stuff, if it's just a little toss around in the pan with some oil, I think they're pretty safe. If they're steamed, if they're grilled, I think you're looking at pretty good vegetables, roasted vegetables. These are all fine. They're not processed.
Right. So I can feel free to go out, eat fish, and if the vegetables are not organic, I could lighten up a little.
Yeah, just don't eat the potatoes because they're not organic.
No, I don't eat potatoes, and I actually found an organic restaurant here called Sam, and they have these great burgers made with, vegetarian things, but I was starting to eat sourdough bread. I don't think that's probably a great idea with the mucus accumulation, do you?
It depends on how you respond to sourdough bread. If it makes more mucus, don't do it. If it doesn't, it sounds like it's fine for you.
So some people can and can't. Is there any?
That's true.
Anything my boyfriend could do, but he's on so many meds.
Yeah, he could do the neti pot to clean up that mucus. Maybe a smaller dose of NAC might help. Maybe some quercetin might help. But honestly, if he's having this kind of trouble and he has all these issues, he might want to actually consult with a functional medicine doctor.
Oh, God, I wish he would. I do wish he would.
Yeah, that would be useful.
No.
So best wishes with that.
Yeah.
Thanks for your input today, Susan.
What?
Thanks for your input today. Have a great day and a great week.
Thank you. Thank you for your help.
Thank you very much there, Susan. And I've got Vinny in Dunedin, Rebecca, and Dr. Bob in Sun City. Good morning to you there, Vinny.
Hey, good morning, Dr. Fred, and thank you for the phone answer. Appreciate that. Doctor, I hope you're well. I'm a big fan. Thank you for this show. Your service to the community is wonderful. A couple of things I heard on the way in. One about ADHD, and I cook all the time. I've been diagnosed at 78 with ADHD after 18 hours of testing, and God, I was my whole life, and no one told me until then. But at any rate, I find that cooking, practicing guitar, things like that are very, very helpful. I got off of Vyvanse, which is an amphetamine. I just didn't want to do it. I do. I take a lot of supplements. Also, arthritis. My hands have been hurting badly. I just had rotator cuff surgery and a bone spur removed, and the doctor said, well, I left the arthritis alone. So obviously, I have arthritis, and I'd like to address the cause of that, if that's at all possible. But I found that when I slip on these copper bracelets and I drink my turmeric, ginger, black pepper, and Manuka honey, although that's expensive, I'm thinking of doing the allulose that you mentioned. That tea is like a daily thing for me. If I don't do it, I find that I'm much more sensitive in my hands. So if that helps anyone, or you can comment on that, please feel free. And I do have another question, though.
Well, it does sound like you have a nice anti-inflammatory tea there, and adding some allulose wouldn't be a bad idea. I think there's a lot of hype around Manuka honey, and like with a lot of honey, I'm not sure you're getting Manuka. If you're paying a lot of money for it, maybe you are, but they may also be scamming you. So when it comes down to line items like that have a specific, like origin, you have to get it near the Manuka tree in New Zealand or whatever. I don't trust those things. I think those kind of line items are a little sketch.
I hear you, Doc. Is that allulose that I've seen RX sugar? Is that allulose?
I don't know if that's RX sugar, but I can tell you that allulose is available online in many different forms. I'm using one right now. I can't tell you the name of it, but it's a combination of allulose with a little bit of monk fruit in it, because allulose isn't as sweet as citrus. And I use stevia, but I'm tempted to try the allulose. But I think Wholesome, I think, is the name of a company that actually markets straight up allulose.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So can I get to my most important question? Has to do with a sibling. My younger sister. I've got 9 in my family. We grew up, and this person is an incredible athlete. She's a swimmer, and she came down about 8 years ago with a chronic cough. She's been to Mayo Clinic. They say it's some kind of neurogenic cough, and I'm like, I told her once, maybe more than once, and that's my fault, but. I thought that she might want to think about getting a full cleanse of the gut, and she basically felt like it was criticism, so she rejected that out of hand. But then I was talking to my physical therapist. This has been going on for years, and the first thing came out of her mouth was gut, and I'm like, well, maybe I'm not wrong, because I did have a chronic cough that I got seasonally, and when I did. Took care of the gut bacteria, I found that it didn't return. The chronic persistent coughing didn't return. So I shared that with her. Didn't get very far. But do you have any experience with a person who has that type of she's done a lot of research, but it's all mainstream medical.
Sure. So a chronic cough, like you fixed some gut bacteria. That's not uncommon that reflux would cause a chronic cough. If nobody's addressed reflux for her, that would be something to consider looking into. But
she did.
So have they looked?
Sorry. Yes, but the leaky gut thing is what I was thinking of. Plus
Sure, I understand that, but
yeah.
If they've looked into that and they've treated her for reflux and it hasn't worked and they're calling it neurogenic, I wonder, how is her meditation practice?
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Well,
Neurogenic, coming from the mind. Her mind is causing a cough. What's she doing to help her mind be stable, controlled, and calm?
Yeah. Well, I happen to know she's the same spiritual practice that I do, and that involves a step, and that is prayer meditation in the morning.
Oh.
I know she does that. We've done it together, actually.
Excellent.
The cough goes on all night, throughout the night, and
is it mostly at night?
Well, it's pretty damn terrible at night, but it also
that sounds like reflux. It really does sound like reflux, but it could be small intestinal bacterial overgrowth causing reflux. So yes, fixing the microbiome could be it, and that is associated with leaky gut. It's really hard to tell without doing deeper study, and if she's only done Western medicine studies, it's likely they haven't found anything.
Well, I can't thank you enough for your feedback. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome, and best wishes for her. I hope she can find some solution.
Thank you, sir. Me too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Vinny, and thanks for calling on in. And we're down to about the last 20 minutes of the show, and I've got Rebecca, Dr. Bob, and Russell in the queue. But you're also invited to participate in the Healthy Steps radio show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa by giving a call to 813-239-9663. But don't dawdle. Let's go to Rebecca in St. Pete. Good morning to you, Rebecca.
Yes. Hey, Dr. Harvey.
Hello.
80-year-old, really healthy female, and I have just been diagnosed with osteoporosis. I had osteopenia for years. I'm healthy. I take all kinds of vitamins, calcium, eat right, and all of that. So I'm getting ready to go see my hip doctor. I've had both hips replaced, and I'm going to see a rheumatologist. I'm already freaked out about what they're going to recommend: Prolia, Repass, Fosamax. Could you just talk about what, do I need one of those vibrating machines? Do I need some sort of belt that I see now on the internet? Do I need to look at completely different ways to get better? My DEX score is -3. And
can I ask you
pretty quickly? Yeah.
What is it that they did recommend as your intervention when you had osteopenia?
Calcium, the vitamins, kind of just eat right. I don't guess it was bad enough. I never was recommended any kind of medicine as far as prescription.
Nobody recommended any hormone replacement, or did anyone ever check your bone metabolism to see if you're actually making or losing bone?
No.
I didn't think so. So you might actually request from somebody to do an N-telopeptide test. It's abbreviated NTX. There's another one called the C-telopeptide. That's abbreviated CTX. Another one called pro-collagen peptide. That's PINP. Those three tests can give you an idea of what your bone metabolism is doing right now and can give you an idea of what you need to do to intervene. These are protein loss and protein production tests, and protein is the key. So has anyone helped you understand how much protein you're taking in a day? And do you know how much you're taking in?
No, I don't. We are not really strict vegetarians. We eat fish, we eat chicken.
How often do you eat fish and chicken?
Oh, a lot. And I have...
Do you eat some animal every day?
Yeah. If you consider things like yogurt and cottage cheese and cheese.
Sure.
We're not strict vegetarians in any way, but
the question is, are you getting at least 1 gram of protein per kilogram of weight in your daily diet?
I'd have to figure out how that. I don't know. I'd have to look at the formula. I would think we probably do.
So the formula is easy. If you go online, you can find a protein calorie counter on websites like mycaloriecounter.com. You enter the foods you eat, the amounts you eat, and it will calculate the amount of protein you get in a day. If you're not getting a gram of protein to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram, you're not getting enough to rebuild bone.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be the first thing I'd do. And the other is exercise. Are you walking every day?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
We walk quite a bit.
So I would look into those tests and see if you can get a doctor to order those for you. And in the meantime, check your protein intake and see if you're getting adequate protein. Those are the first two things I would do looking forward. Also get a vitamin D level.
Mm-hmm. What is your thought? I think I know the answer to things like Prolia or Reclast or the shots that you take, injectables or intravenously.
They work.
I'm sorry.
They work, but if you'd use Prolia for 5 years, when you go off it, you have to on Fosamax because you'll have rapid bone loss after stopping it. So that's the adverse consequence they don't tell you about. You must remain on medication after using that one, or you will lose bone worse than before. And Fosamax does upset the stomach. Reclast once a year works very nicely, but do you need it? Maybe. You're at 3.0 minus. I've seen people at 7.0 minus. They're really fragile. And so you have some work to do, but I think you can recover it.
Okay, so if we go through all the tests and they actually end up recommending Prolia or Reclast, you knowing the downside, that's not something you would completely shy away from if that's what they're going to recommend?
Correct. I think you have to make your decision about it when they talk to you about it. But I mean, if you have not enough protein intake and your bone production is not appropriate, then you may want to actually try to fix that before you go on the medication, because then you'll know that you've actually done everything you could naturally, baseline, to make the Fosamax work better, or whatever it is they would suggest you use.
Yeah, I probably couldn't tolerate Fosamax because I do take Pepsid twice a day.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to take that orally then. So yeah, there's lots of options. And I think that that vibration plate you mentioned is a really good option to get on as well. So good luck with your pursuit of good bone health.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you there, Rebecca. And now let's go to Dr. Bob. Good morning to you, Dr. Bob. Obviously,
Good morning and Happy New Year, guys.
Hey there, Happy New Year.
Yeah, listen, this part of this is the saga of our healthcare situation here in America. I refuse to call it a system because there is none.
There is no system, correct.
I recently had to find a new primary care doctor. The hospital here decided they had another use for the building where our practice was located, and they lost their lease. And the practice is owned by this enormous conglomerate. I won't tell you the name, but the first word is United. And they have probably half a dozen different offices in this area. So they decided to disperse the doctors to their other offices. My doctor, who I really liked, was going to Brandon, which is not too far away, but it's like the third or fourth circle of hell. So I decided I would try to stay here. And I found a doctor that I like very much for various reasons. One thing, she's young. She's 40-something, so I'm definitely going to outlive her. Or she's going to outlive me, I should say. But she's not a functional medicine doctor, but she has an academic background in both nutrition and exercise science. And I really like that part of her resume and so forth. So anyhow, on our first couple of meetings, we talked about diet and exercise, which I thought was very refreshing. I'm a 75-year-old white male, and I still have 98% of my original parts. And the ones that are left are kind of old and worn, but nothing's worn out yet. So I feel pretty good about my situation. Well, we discussed my diet, and I try to eat 6 to 8 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, in addition to whole grains, lean protein, and so forth. And she said something interesting. She said, I might be eating too much fruit because of the sugar.
Well, how many pieces of fruit are you doing versus the vegetables?
Yeah, she said you should probably either cut out a couple of servings of fruit a day and increase vegetables, grains, and so forth. So, which I found reasonable. I could do that.
How many were you doing of fruit on a daily basis?
I'm sorry?
How many servings of fruit were you doing on a daily basis?
It kind of depends. Like right now, strawberries are in season, so I probably overloading on them. And we just entered the harvest season for the Juicy Crunch tangerines, which I really love. So probably 4 to 5.
Yeah, that's on the high end. 2 to 3 is probably sufficient. 4 to 5 of vegetable.
Yeah. The vegetables, usually we have a great fresh market here in Ruskin that has fresh, organic, local produce. I buy just about everything there.
Excellent.
Leafy greens and anything from the cabbage, broccoli family. I'm a little low on potatoes, but I do like sweet potatoes. So
good.
Yeah, I came from a southern background where we ate a lot of vegetables.
Excellent.
So, that was part of our diet. So
I'm really heartened to hear that your doctor is so aware of nutrition. That's awesome.
Well, so then we got around to exercise, and I described what I do. We have a warm water exercise pool here in Sun City Center, and I do a routine 45 minutes a day, about 30 laps, walking every direction, forward, backward, sideways, and so forth. And I've added to that some squats, stretches, stair climbing, some other more aerobic exercises. And then we have about two vigorous half-hour hikes a day with our personal trainer, Honeybell, our 21-pound beagle, who keeps her nose to the ground and keeps us moving. So
you have a great routine there.
She's great. But the doctor said most of that is activity, it's not exercise.
Uh-huh.
And I'd never really heard that distinction before.
Guess what?
It might be something you might want to share with your listeners.
It doesn't matter. Activity is activity. You can exercise at different levels of intensity, but what they're showing is that the more activity you have, the better you are. They're showing you don't have to actually hit 10,000 steps a day. You just have to keep moving. The bottom line is keep moving, and it doesn't matter how fast you move. You don't have to run sprints. You don't have to do HIIT. You need to move, starting with 20 minutes a day of walking and then expanding from there. That's really the key. And she's right. There is a difference between activity and exercise. And unless you're going to be an athlete, you don't need to spend your time figuring out your different patterns of exercise. Just keep moving.
Okay. Particularly someone in my age group. I've always I'm probably active an hour and a half a day.
That's fantastic. Keep going and make sure that you're standing every hour and walking a little bit with that, and you're going to be pursuing exactly what you need to in health.
Well, every time I turn on the news, I find myself pacing the floor, so I've got stimulation here. So, okay. Well, Doc, Bill, y'all take care, and thank you very much.
Have a great day, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, you too there, Dr. Bob. All right, I've got Russell and Wanda on the line, so let's go to Russell. Good morning, Russell.
All right, good morning, Dr. Harvey.
Hi there.
Hi there. About 8 months ago, I noticed a balding spot on my head. Didn't think much about it other than age. I'm 49. Then I noticed a second rounding bald spot on the front side of my head. Looking it up, I came across alopecia. Never heard of it before. And then it kind of goes back to, it seemed like it was maybe an autoimmune disease.
Yes.
And then about 2 months ago, I started getting welts or lumps on my legs that came and go randomly. First thought it was a bug because they similar bug bites. Ruled out the bugs. But every day I wake up and I'll get little itchy little lumps, and then I kind of dug in. It seemed to be a type of hive, which also kind of the autoimmune disease came up again as
yes.
dug a little deeper. Suggestions.
You've been exposed to something.
Okay.
Are you living in a moldy house?
No. None of my family is exposed to anything or has any of these symptoms.
Well, anybody living with you doesn't have to have the symptoms. You're unique genetically. And so if you're living in a moldy house, you could be the only person getting alopecia and welts from it.
Okay. Okay. We could check for the mold.
So yeah, I mean, that's just one possibility. You've obviously been exposed to something. You're having an autoimmune reaction. So is it environment? Is it food? Is it an infection? Is it a pill you're taking? Is it something, an additive in some of your processed foods? It's really hard to tell.
Okay. It definitely could be herbicides. I know that's an issue. I've been spraying basically glyphosate, which is Roundup, for 30 years.
Well, there you go.
That's my business. Obviously, I guess it's now showing if that's possible. That it's showing signs of it, but that is.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that get lymphoma from using glyphosate. So yeah, you might want to go see a functional medicine doctor. There are tests out there to look at your glyphosate levels. I think what's the name of it? Mosaic Laboratories does a glyphosate test, and there's probably others that do it. So you might really want to check out ifm.org and find a functional medicine doctor to help you get to the root of this problem.
Okay. All right. So that's. Is there any other route? Is there something I could do myself other than try to distance myself from spraying these products?
Yeah, you could stab in the dark for the next 20 years.
Okay.
Get some guidance.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Best wishes with that. Let us know if you find some guidance, please, because that's a big problem you got. Okay. And we're down to the last few minutes, so I'll do a couple of emails here. So someone is asking, I've heard that they've heard me state before that scented candles and Febreze are bad for you. Do I have any good options? Yes, unscented candles, and don't bother with trying to cover up odors in your house with stinky, weird stuff like Febreze. It doesn't work anyway. It just masks it. Open the windows, turn on the fans, and cook less fish or whatever it is you did to make your house stink. You don't need to deodorize everything. But if you do want something, get some nice organic organic oil, like lavender scented candle that's in a soy base and doesn't have a lead wick. You can find healthy candles, but burning them all the time does put particulate in the atmosphere that you don't necessarily need extra of. So, use it judiciously. Let's see, cloudy vision. This person has cataracts and should probably get looked at in a year. They were actually having trouble playing tennis and got their eyes checked, and there's nothing really he can do to get his prescription adjusted. And so, it's kind of interesting that it took that to get to figuring out that it was a cataract. Person's thanking me for acknowledging the neurodivergent spectrum of brain activity. We've got to. It's the only way we can actually think about reality so that we can actually move forward with alacrity and actually make good decisions for people. And the best decision you could do is to plop some change in the tip jar at WMNF to support this amazing community. Because I got to say goodbye now, and I want to thank Bill for hosting in-house and Sage for getting those phones. And thank you, Healthy Steps listeners, for your great input. I love your questions. I'll see you next week.
And thank you, Dr. Harvey, for another informative and rewarding Healthy Steps radio show. And thanks to all of our participants, listeners, and supporters. You make this show exemplary. And Sage, thank you for answering the phones today and all that entails. This show would not be possible without your assistance. You have been listening to the Healthy Steps radio show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. Waiting for you like a dear friend is 5 minutes of NPR headline news, and then get ready for the Sustainable Living Show, hosted today by Annie Ellis. So until next Monday at 10 a.m., Thank you for supporting and listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa, your community conscious radio station. Stay safe, stay thoughtful, and know that you are loved.